My wife's friend joked, "You're lucky he's so dumb. Most men would see the red flags." My wife replied, "Some men are just easy." I said nothing. A month later, she was crying in court, realizing the dumb husband had outsmarted her. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to end up in a courtroom, watching the woman I once loved break down in tears as she realized she had played herself. But I also never thought I'd be the kind of guy to be made a fool of. Turns out, both happened. And the truth? It started long before that dinner, long before I even noticed the cracks in our marriage. I, 34M, have been married to Lena, 31F, for a little over 5 years. We met in our mid-20s, both ambitious, both looking for something serious. At least, that's what I thought. Lena had this way about her. She was effortlessly charming, outgoing, and magnetic. People gravitated toward her. She always knew what to say, how to work a room, how to get people to like her, including me. But there was always something off. A flicker in her smile when she thought I wasn't looking. A pause in her voice when she talked about our future. At the time, I brushed it off. Maybe it was stress. Or maybe I was overthinking. After all, she was perfect. Too perfect, some might say. And that's the thing about perfection. It's often a mask. I was never the flashy type. I was steady, dependable, financially responsible, the guy who planned for the future. Lena, on the other hand, lived in the moment. For a long time, I thought that balance worked. But the truth is, it only works when both people respect each other. And at a dinner one night, I found out Lena never respected me at all. It was supposed to be a casual night, just me, Lena, and a couple of her friends. We went to a nice restaurant, one of those places with dim lighting and overpriced drinks. I had been working a lot lately, trying to secure a promotion at my firm. Lena had been spending more, not excessively, but enough that I had noticed. "Just treating myself," she'd say with a laugh whenever I asked. I wasn't the type to police her spending, but something in the back of my mind nagged at me. I ignored it. That was my mistake. As we sat there, drinks flowing, the conversation turned toward relationships. One of Lena's friends, Mia, had recently gotten engaged to a tech startup guy who had just come into a ton of money. Lena was excited for her. But then Mia turned to Lena, drunk, laughing, and said, "You're lucky your husband's so dumb. Most men would see the red flags." I felt the air shift. Lena smirked, took a sip of her drink, and shrugged. "What can I say? Some guys are just easy." My stomach dropped. The table laughed like it was a joke. I forced a chuckle, pretending like I was also too drunk to care. But inside, something snapped. Even under the influence, I didn't confront her. Not there, not that night. Because I realized something in that moment. She thought I was dumb. She thought I was so trusting, so oblivious, that I would never see it. And that made me wonder, what exactly was she talking about? That night, after Lena fell asleep, I did something I never thought I'd do. I started digging. Not in a paranoid way, but with precision. I checked our joint bank accounts. Nothing major, just inconsistencies, small withdrawals that didn't add up. I checked her credit card statements. Bigger spending than usual, but nothing outright damning. Then I checked her private savings account, and that's when I saw it. Over the past 6 months, Lena had been moving money, small amounts at first, then larger ones, into a completely separate account. At first, I told myself maybe she was saving for something private, a personal goal, maybe even a surprise for me. But deep down, I knew better. She was preparing for something. And I was going to find out what. I didn't sleep that night. Lying, next to Lena, listening to her steady breathing, I felt like I was in bed with a stranger. I kept replaying the dinner conversation in my head. "You're lucky your husband's so dumb. Most men would see the red flags." What can I say? Some guys are just easy. Lena had laughed like it was nothing, like I was nothing. I wasn't sure what was worse, the fact that she had mocked me to my face, or the fact that she thought I'd never figure it out. She thought I was too trusting, too soft, too easy to manipulate. She was wrong. By the time the sun came up, I had made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. I was going to outsmart her. I started by gathering evidence. Bank transactions. I downloaded 6 months of bank statements and highlighted every transfer she made to her private savings account. The amounts were small at first, a couple hundred here, a few more there. Then 3 months ago, the withdrawals got bigger. $20,000, then $20,000, then $1,000, then $7,500. She had been building a separate financial safety net. For what? Credit card statements. I checked for new charges. Lots of expensive spa treatments, designer clothes, and high-end restaurants, places she never took me to. Then I saw hotel bookings, 2 of them. Weekend stays at a luxury hotel. Downtown. Both booked on weekends I had been out of town for work. I felt my stomach turn. Was she just preparing for a divorce? Or had she already moved on to someone else? Checking security footage, I had a doorbell camera that logged entries. To our apartment. I went back and checked the weekends she stayed at the hotel. Friday night, first hotel weekend. Lena leaves alone, comes back Sunday afternoon. Friday night, second hotel weekend, same pattern. Leaves alone, returns Sunday. No strange men. No proof of cheating, at least not yet. But the financial secrecy, the separate bank account, the dinner conversation, she was planning something. And I was going to make sure it backfired. I took everything I found and scheduled a meeting with a divorce lawyer. I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. What I learned is any money she secretly moved during the marriage could be considered hidden assets, meaning she could owe me that money in the divorce. If she was planning to blindside me, I could file first, giving me the advantage. If I could prove financial misconduct, I could protect my assets. The best part? If she thought she was in control, she'd get careless. And that's exactly what I needed. I started acting even dumber. I didn't question her spending anymore. I started being overly sweet, like I was trying to make up for being distant. I even casually mentioned that I was thinking of moving money into a joint investment. For our future, Lena took the bait. She relaxed, got comfortable, stopped hiding things so carefully. She even started dropping hints. Things like, you know, if things ever didn't work out, I think we'd both be fine financially. I love how secure you are in us. Some men get so paranoid. At this point, Lena thought she had me exactly where she wanted. She believed I was the perfect, clueless husband, the type of man who wouldn't notice his wife slowly preparing to leave him. She had no idea that I was already 10 steps ahead, and she was about to find out the hard way. At my lawyer's advice, I didn't just react. I waited. I let Lena dig herself deeper, spending more, transferring more money, getting comfortable in her little game. And then I got the perfect opportunity. A month after the dinner, I was officially promoted at work, a major salary increase, more financial security, a future she probably thought she'd benefit from. I knew what she was thinking. Now I can leave him and take my share. She wasn't planning to file yet. She was waiting for the right moment, probably after another few big transfers, maybe a few more expensive treat-yourself weekends. But she didn't know I had already filed. The morning after my promotion was announced, Lena was all smiles. She kissed me, made my coffee, acted like the perfect wife. I almost laughed, because while she was daydreaming about the money she thought she'd get from me, my lawyer was submitting the divorce paperwork. My filing included evidence of her hidden bank transfers, proving she was hoarding assets behind my back. Financial misconduct claims showing she used marital funds for her own separate interests. A request for asset protection, which would legally block her from touching my accounts. And the best part? Because I filed first, I controlled the narrative. Lena wouldn't be able to blindside me and demand half. Instead, she was about to get dragged into a battle she wasn't prepared for. 2 weeks later, Lena received the divorce papers. She came home furious. "You're divorcing me without even talking to me?" I stayed completely calm. "I just thought it was time," I said, sipping my coffee. Lena tried every trick in the book. She cried. I didn't react. She screamed. I stayed silent. She threatened to take half. I almost laughed, because when we got to court, she realized just how badly she had lost. Lena showed up dressed to impress, probably thinking she could still talk her way out of this. She was in for a rude awakening. Her lawyer's opening argument: "My client is entitled to half of all shared marital assets. She has been financially responsible and should be compensated. She has made sacrifices in the marriage and deserves her fair share." She was so confident, until my lawyer got up. My lawyer's response: "We have documented proof that Lena systematically transferred joint funds into a secret personal account. She withdrew large amounts under false pretenses, showing clear financial misconduct. She actively planned to leave while securing financial advantages behind my client's back." Then came the bombshell. My lawyer pulled out transcripts of the financial transfers. "Judge, Mrs. Lena, can you explain these transactions?" Lena froze. Her lawyer started scrambling. Then came my final move. My lawyer handed over a document, a financial forensic report showing that Lena had been siphoning money while making me pay the majority of our living expenses. It was legally classified as asset appropriation. The judge frowned. "Mrs. Lena, this changes the nature of your claim. Instead of receiving 50% of assets, you may actually owe your husband restitution." I watched as Lena's confident smirk disappeared. She had walked into that courtroom thinking she'd take half. She was walking out with nothing. By the end of the case, Lena lost all rights to my money. She was ordered to return a portion of the hidden funds. She had to pay her own legal fees. I walked out free, untouched, and with all my assets protected. Lena. She sat there stunned, humiliated, and defeated. The courtroom was silent except for the rustling of papers as the judge finalized the decision. Lena sat there motionless. Just 30 minutes ago, she had walked into this room fully expecting to walk away with half of everything I owned. Now, she was leaving with nothing. As I walked past her, I could feel the rage radiating off her. She turned to me, her voice shaking. "You did this on purpose," she hissed, eyes burning with humiliation. I gave her a calm, amused smile. "I thought I was too dumb for that." Lena opened her mouth to argue, but she had nothing left, because this wasn't just about her losing the A case. This was about her realizing too late that she had underestimated me, and now she had to live with the consequences. The real fun started after the trial. Her fancy apartment? She couldn't afford it anymore. I had been paying most of the rent, and now she was on her own. Her savings, drained from legal fees and court-mandated repayments. Her luxurious lifestyle, completely gone. Lena had spent years treating money like a safety net. She had assumed she'd always have someone taking care of things. Now, no one was taking care of her. Lena didn't just lose financially, she lost her reputation. Her friends, the moment they realized she had tried to pull a financial scam, they started distancing themselves. Her family, furious that she had, tried to manipulate the divorce. Her co-workers. She had bragged too much about leaving me. Now, she was the office joke. One of our mutual friends texted me a week later. "Dude, Lena's been complaining to everyone. She keeps saying you set her up." I just laughed. She had set herself up. All I did was stay quiet and let her believe she was winning. A few weeks after the case, Lena tried reaching out. Her number was blocked, but she emailed me. Subject: "Can we talk?" I didn't even read it. Instead, I replied with one sentence. "You should have seen the red flags." Then I blocked her for good. People like Lena never think they can lose. They assume they're always the smartest person in the room. But here's the thing. Sometimes the quiet ones are watching. Sometimes the dumb ones are smarter than you think. And sometimes karma arrives wearing a tailored suit with a lawyer by his side. Lena thought she had played me. But in the end, she played herself. And I walked away with everything.